Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man podcast. My name is Rory Paquette. I am, as always, your very grateful host. Thank you so much for being here today. Folks, this is our 200th episode. Um, I could not be more grateful to you folks. The only reason we have 200 episodes is because you are all out there doing your part and you are liking and sharing and subscribing and doing everything that you do. And if you're not out there doing what you do, I can't sit here and do what I do. So, you know what? Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for making my dreams come true. And I hope that one of the reasons that you do that is because we bring on incredible men like our speaker that we have today, who you're going to meet in just a moment, and that we give you guys actionable plans and hope and motivation and a reason to get up tomorrow, but even more than that, a reason to be better tomorrow than you are today. And that's kind of what we do here. So before we get going, if you're a friend of the program, and I know you are, okay, we got to pay a couple bills. So let's take a sip of our preferred beverage. Oh, good stuff. You guys all know what we're drinking. It's Freedom Hill Coffee. That's right, at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful. Just like my wife. They brew a mean bean. It's mean cup of Joe. They do all the right things for all the right reasons. They support veterans, and you guys all know how important that is here at the Power of Man with us and with me. And so we support them. Go check them out on Instagram at Freedom Hill Coffee. Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Tell them Power Man sent you. Let me get one more of these because I can't keep up with this guy that I'm interviewing today. All right, I will be drinking that throughout the episode. Let me introduce this guy. He's been on here before. The only guy I've had on four times. Today's the fourth time. And so he's special. He was the first interview I ever did, so he's always held that warm, special spot in my heart. And man, every time I look him up on Instagram, he impresses me even more. Please welcome the founder of Day 41 Apparel, Justin Wegner. How you doing, Justin?
What's up, Roy? Man, I'm super glad to be on here and everybody listening. Just know that I'm super grateful to be here for four times. I feel like hopefully haven't ran anybody off. So I always feel like that's let's collect the wins early on, and that's a win. This is the first podcast I've ever been on four times, so super grateful for that. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm killing it. I'm loving life, man, right now. So like we were talking, being able to do this full time and interview guys like you is just a dream, come true. So we just recently went to 5 times a week also. So you're jumping into a whole new, framework now
Wow.
and a lot
Okay.
more people listening than the last 3 times you were on here too. So
Well, that's awesome.
a
You're
chance
doing
to get your
something.
message out.
You're doing it, man. You're keeping consistent, and consistency is what wins championships. So I
Right
I
on.
love to see you winning in life.
Appreciate that, man. Same, likewise. Speaking of which, when I first found this guy, he was working out of his garage, making Backbone Swag apparel, a brand that is still near and dear to my heart. But about a year ago, Justin went through a whole big change, a whole bunch of stuff happened. Justin, give everybody just kind of a quick recap, an idea of what made you change from Backbone Swag to Day 41 and, kind of how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, so brief overview is, I that Backbone Swag and Day 41, they're both apparel brands. And how I got started was I was a designer helping other people, and I wanted to help more people. And you know, there's episodes of the journey and who I was and who I've become all on your podcast, and I think that that's pretty special for me to even reflect back on is I've changed just being on your podcast, right? Like
Yeah.
like the first time I interviewed with you to now, there's growth, and I think that if anybody was going to get anything from that podcast, go listen to that first one and then listen to this one. And that took that long to become this person, right? So if you're in life, your just first nugget for the podcast is if you're in life right now, understand that things take far longer than you imagine, but it happens almost in an instant, right?
Right
Like
on.
4 or 5 years goes by in a matter of moments is what it seems like, and especially the older you get the more I feel that. So started apparel brand, transitioned it to a year ago to Day 41 Apparel, which is what everybody sees now, and they see the wins from it, but they don't know the darkness that I came through to get to here. I didn't start as a faith-based brand, and I definitely didn't have as clean of a mouth, if you will, as I do now.
Right.
Very, very, very colorful language. So if you go look at any of my posts, any of my social media shares, I left them all there. They're all there. That's all who I was, and I think that that's one of the best things that I can do for other people is just so they can see who I was and who I am now. Yeah, last year I think God just like really, shook me. He got a hold of my heart and basically asked me, you start to wonder why you do anything you do in life. Past helping people with their mentality and mindset with Backbone Swag, which is what that brand was primarily for. Um, I just started to have this sense of like there has to be more. There has to be more. Had a conversation with a pastor friend of mine about a year ago in February, and he just told me he's like, Justin, you're in the same spot you were last time we had lunch. Like, and that was the definition of insanity. And I think I said that on your last podcast. Is like definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And you know, that's a line I've used with other people. So for it to get used on me, it was kind of like almost a slap in the face and just a dose of reality for me that I needed to become, the person to, share Jesus, share God, share hope, share faith, and let people know that I'm a real husband and father and son of God, just trying to make a difference in the world. Because whenever I get to heaven, I really want to hear those words, well done, good and faithful servant. Like that, like if I hear that, I'll know that I did everything I was supposed to do. So,
Right.
last 365 days in a nutshell, that's been me. It's not been easy, been very challenging at times. And, I think sometimes when people, turn to God, they think that they're turning to the easy path. They're going on easy street and everything's going to be like green lights. And I think that is the exact opposite of what I've felt. Um, but looking back, I can see all the areas that God was guiding me, you know,
For sure.
putting this mountain in front of me, putting this valley in front of me, and just kept going with him. So probably a tangent to answering your question, but I do feel like that's what I think about whenever people ask me that question is it's not been easy, but it's been worth it.
I love that. And the episode you're talking about is episode number 26. I mean, that far back. We're celebrating 200 now. So
Wow.
your first episode with us was episode 26. You were a totally different guy. You were a
Yeah.
totally different guy, brother.
Wow.
And yeah, you had some colorful language. It was the first episode I ever got like warnings on, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I was out there to stir it up too at the same time. So,
Yeah.
but then you were also on episode 100, which was like the centennial. You were on 150, and so you were the natural choice to be on 200. For me, because I
That's
also
so
knew you
cool.
had this episode 200 is coming out, in the same month where you're celebrating 1 year of day 41. And so, to me,
Yeah,
it was
1 year of day 41, 5 years of owning an apparel brand.
right.
And that's, that in and of itself is, I don't know. I had a meeting with a lawyer this morning and just the thought process of owning, trademarks and stuff like that, it's becoming a reality. Like you're like pinch me, but in the moment you're like, is this what we're doing with life? Like I graduated high school to go be a media production guy with my dad to do full-time photography and video, and now we're printing t-shirts, sending shirts all over the nation to spread the name of Jesus. Just
That's
if you would
awesome.
ask me at 18 if I'd be doing this, I would have said some colorful words, no.
I'm sure you would have at that point.
But here we are. God's got me, and He's got a lot of other people to support the brand and help us.
No, that's awesome. It's we made a change like that too here at Power Man. We've really kind of been, I'd say over the last year, we've been much more Christ centric and
Mhm.
and sort of unafraid to just talk about it, and get out there. And my guests are coming on and they're like, "Hey, can I talk about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that's why I'm bringing them on, is to kind of spread that word. There isn't any more of this. Let's keep it down. We don't want to offend anybody. I offended so many people with the first few years of this podcast in different ways that at this point I'm like,
What do you have
three,
to lose?
three death threats later, I'm like, you know what? I'm still here. So come on with it. But
I agree.
I love the path that you've been on. I love the changes that you made and the way you've gone. Let me ask you this, and it just kind of came to me. It's not even on my little bullet points of what I want to talk to you about today, but it seems to me that you've not only increased, your brand, change your brand and increase things, increased, your value to God that you've been putting out there, but also it seems like you've been increasing your quality time with your family. It seems like that became more of a priority for you this past year as well. Is that accurate?
I think, God, that's a great question. And for those, if you've never been on a podcast before, I don't ever ask for questions in advance. So if you sent me any like highlight things that you want to talk about, I
Nope.
didn't read it because I don't like that. I like going off the cuff that people know that it's authentic and real.
Yeah.
And this question actually, I'm in my mind right now. I'm going through the photo album with my family, and I'm having this recollection of, why did I get to spend more time with them? Or, you know, I don't know. That's such a good question. I think it's just been, I'm not a perfect dad, and I'm definitely not a perfect husband, and God knows I'm not a perfect son. But if there's one thing that I want my kids to know from me whenever I'm gone, I envision a lot of things like going like this, like at my funeral, right? Like I don't really care how many people are there, but I want everyone there to know that this dude, he worked extremely hard and he loved God and he trusted him the whole way, right? And I would say over this past year, I think narrowing down the quantity of memories to the quality has made me weed out a lot of the unnecessary things in life and get to sharing what I feel like matters most. And that is, men, we have to be there for our wives. Like they may not know how to pray and they may be embarrassed in front of you to pray, but they need to know what it's like to be led by somebody who is praying. And
Nice.
the same can be said with our kids. Our kids are not gonna, our kids, I saw a meme the other day. It was the tongue of the mother coming through the kid talking to their friend. It was like, you want to know where kids get their mouths? They get it from their parents, which is mean that's where they get their mindset. So I think this last year is like I've drawn a back from the monetary things in life, the chasing of the goods, the chasing of the cars, the chasing of the warehouse, the chasing of all the material things that I think us guys get told that this is what makes us successful. And as husband, this is what makes you successful is you got to make 6.5 figures, 7 figures in life. Otherwise, you're not successful. You need to own a Ferrari. You need to own a ranch. You need to own this. You need to do this, 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 and all these little things, right? And then your brain starts doing this. I can't chase anything that I can't focus on.
Right.
And so my focus became God, and everything has followed from that. So, you know, I think for me, it's just been like the quality over quantity. Quality time with God has led to quality time with my family, and I don't think that that's an accident. I think that's
Yeah.
intentional, right? And to me, I want my kids to be good leaders. I want my wife to know that I'm going to work my hardest to provide for our family, and I'm not going to forget what God's done for us. I'm not going to forget all the times he could have left me, all the times he had every right to say, "All right, kid, I'm going to let you go for a little bit. I'm not going to be in your life." And I feel like God's been with me every step of the way. I've just not made the best choices sometimes.
I think we can all say
Yeah.
that. The reason that I noticed that is because you and I think, are cut from a similar cloth. You were out on your business. I was over here on my podcast and working, another job, and we were both putting in ridiculous hours. I mean, dawn till
Hmm.
dusk, and then before dawn, after dusk type of hours. Because number one, you feel like that's what you have to do in order to succeed and to build when you have nothing. But the other part, and I thought that more than anybody else I've ever had in the podcast, that you would get this. What I've noticed is that I realized I was doing a lot of it, all that extra work and having to sacrifice family time out of fear because I was so afraid that that 1 hour that I didn't work would cost me, would
Hmm.
make me fail, would not be an extra thing for my kids or my wife, or, we'd lose the house, or, whatever might happen. I was
Yeah.
deathly afraid. And I started putting more of my faith in God. And I followed your lead in a lot of ways. And my youngest son is actually like almost an associate pastor right now. And he's actually
Oh,
shown
whoa.
all that back to me and
That's
been
so
helping me
cool.
with that. It's crazy the way the children educate the dad at, some point. But get ready for that, by the way.
Yeah,
You
right.
guys are
We're
young.
we're entering the preteen phase. I feel like that's starting to happen.
But does that resonate with you at all? Because when you
Yeah.
made the change and put everything you had into your faith of, and spreading the word of Jesus and the whole nine yards,
Yeah.
you really seem to, like, even right now, brother. I mean, you seem much more relaxed, confident, under control than I've ever seen you on the show
Yeah.
or otherwise.
Something that's coming to my mind right now is like when you have God, you have all the confidence you need. And without God, we have fake confidence. And because God's got you when no one else does. And God's got you whenever you don't have you. And just like I said earlier, is like this world is trying to teach us that, you know, I'll say it like this: the only shirt that I may have like a regret, or I wish I would have. I wish people would understand where my heart was on it, but like looking back on it, like I didn't like the shirt. I loved what it stood for, but I didn't. I feel like God's probably going to talk to me about this shirt. He's going to say like, "Look, man, like you got that one wrong. Um, like I'm going to let you slide on it." It was to depend on no one.
Mm, that's
And
not where I thought you were going.
yeah, no, everybody thinks it's the one that has a colorful word, but
Yep.
no, I think God's going to talk to me about that one because we may not be able to depend on anyone, but we can always depend on God. And, you know, 15 months ago, we were we were scratching by, man. Like warehouse is taken care of, all employees are taken care of, but Justin and Lindsay were scraping by. Financially, mentally, physically, we were exhausted. And I remember, asking a friend of mine, like, how do you read the Bible? And he said, man, I'll just start with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because I feel like if I need to get some truth, I need to stop reading all these entrepreneurial books and try to go to the one source of truth that I feel like God is like calling me to. And having that, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I read it like 4 or 5 times straight through. Um, and I just kept reading it. I kept highlighting stuff, kept sharing what I was going through, reading it. And during that time, it's not like things got better, but during that time, my wife, she's kind of like, how are we going to get through this? I said, I don't know, but I can tell you this. I have everything I need. I have you, I have the kids, I have God. We can go rent an apartment. We can go sleep at the warehouse. Like I literally am fine with it. And I think that God gave me that confidence because I leaned on him and not on myself. So do I resonate with what you said? Absolutely. And do I feel like I'm at more peace now than ever? Yeah, because I feel like the thing I've chased is God and God is peace. That's that's just kind of that's where all my cool, calm, and collectedness comes from now is knowing that God's got my back. I don't need to have my own back. God's got it.
I do. I do. Yeah. That's awesome, man. I wanted to talk to you about part of that, but the other part just kind of came to me. So I'm like, you know what? We're sitting here talking about God, and something comes to me,
Yeah.
I'm going with it.
Yeah,
Because
please do. I love this conversation. If I can, I mean, that's what the entire brand's about is about God and what he's doing and how he's moving, right? Like, and that doesn't happen by us staying silent and not talking about God. That's why,
right.
putting stuff out on a shirt. Oh my gosh, like when we made the announcement of the change, dude, and so many people like for like 6 months were like, I think this is the worst decision you've ever made, and I don't know if you're ever gonna recover from this and all that. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like God's got me. He's told me to do this. I don't know what to tell you.
I remember the day you announced it in your private group, people were going, please don't do this. Like it was up for discussion or something.
Yeah, I
And
was like,
I'm
oh,
like,
this
what are
is
you doing? You made the decision. This is just an announcement. It's not a debate.
yeah, I'm not asking for advice here.
Right.
I'm not seeking your counsel. I've already sought counsel.
Yeah.
And this is the direction we're headed. And I fully am aware that, you're going to lose people along the way. But the people you gain are going to help you gain other people. And, if what I feel like is what we're here to do is point people to Jesus, then what kind of hypocrite am I going to be to not do that with the platform we've been entrusted with?
Right. Now, you said that a year ago when you were on the podcast too. You said, "Hey, I'm going to lose some people. I know that going in, and but this is the right way to go. I know it is the right way to go. So here we go." What's it been like then over the year? You know, what I mean, in terms of what you expected versus what really happened, what kind of problems came up for you? Did you lose people?
We lost a lot. Yeah. I think I factored it up one time. I think it was like $1.2 million is what the transition ended up costing us, like from a monetary type standpoint.
Wow.
Um, and the thing in life, I feel like, and this is, kind of God's gift to me, is like I've always had a knack for not focusing on what you lose and trying to realize what you gain. We just had this conversation with my son yesterday in his baseball tournament. It's like, dude, you may have gotten out, but what did you learn from that pitch? Did he
Nice.
throw it outside and he baited you from outside? Well, guess what? At your next at bat, if that happens again, don't get baited outside and had a weak hit to, second base or third or whatever. Um, I just think if we as men, as leaders, as just followers of Jesus, if we just focus on what we gain rather than what we lose by following Jesus, you always gain more than you lose. But some of us, we there's an adage of like you get what you focus on.
Sure.
And if you focus on problems, what are you always going to have?
You get the problems, man. Right.
I focus on solutions. So what am I getting? I'm getting solutions. It just may not be the solutions at the time that I want them, but I'm focusing on solutions, right? So, yeah, we lost quite a bit, monetarily. I, told you we lost over $1 million in this transition. Um, but what did we gain? I gained peace. I gained I gained a new level of respect for what Jesus has done for us. It's not easy putting yourself up in front of people to say, I'm going to believe in Jesus and what God calls for us to do, so much so that I'm going to sacrifice this secular brand in front of everyone to turn to Jesus. And it's easy. And I had a lot of people tell me, well, why don't you just keep both brands? And you saw that in our Facebook group.
Oh
Why
yeah.
don't you just keep both? I don't see why you can't keep both. Well, you can't keep your foot in the world and foot in God. At one point, you got to pick one or the other. It's like, if you try to climb a ladder, two ladders, you're eventually going to have to pick one.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to pick the world. And that's just what we gained and that's what we lost. Is I feel like it's just, peace is knowing that in due time, I will hear God tell me, good and well done, good and faithful servant. Like it wasn't easy, but you did it. I asked you to do this and you did it. You didn't question me. You didn't, you know, I've never doubted God on this journey. I've doubted me.
Hmm.
Like I've doubted, like, am I doing exactly what God wants me to do right now? Right? Like I want to make sure that every single step that I take, that I just trust God. This step, God, is this right one? Like, I think we all do that in life, is like sometimes we'll take bigger steps than others. Sometimes we'll jump whenever we just feel it. And I just want to make sure that I'm not letting the world take part of my heart and sacrifice God. So like at every turn, I'm making sure that this is the right decision. This is the right move. This is what's going to glorify God. And if Jesus comes back for us, that he walks into the warehouse and he's like, all right, man, round up, let's go. Like you've done everything you're supposed to do. You and your team come with me. You know, if that's how it's gonna go down, I don't know. But yeah, I would say that I lost more than I thought I would, but I gained more than I ever thought I would too. And what I gained was like you can't measure. You can't measure peace, right? It's only your the results of what you have are what people are going to be able to see. Um, I'm not driving a Lamborghini. I don't live in a castle. Um, I don't have a bank full of money. But I have something that money can't buy. And money can only buy you peace for so long. It can buy comfort for so long, right? But God has me in a place of peace, and that's been more than I ever thought I would get.
Beautiful. I mean, and it shows, to be honest, which is why I asked a bunch of these questions today, because that's what I've been picking up from you as I follow you, on
Yeah.
the socials and stuff. But the business itself is doing well, though.
Yeah, business is doing good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, ups and downs just like everybody else.
right. So congrats on that, because I'm glad to hear
Thank
that.
you.
I don't think any of us doubted it, when you made the switch. I mean, those of us who like really were in, that day when you made the change.
I
So,
think to be fair, I think a lot more doubted than they probably are willing to admit, but um, I thank them too. On April 1st of 2025, we passed our 90,000th order on our 1 year anniversary, right?
saw that. That was cool.
And that was like I can't write that. I couldn't have said 90,000 orders ago, like, hey, can we make sure this is done on our 1 year anniversary? I couldn't have written that. Like, that's God. That's God just saying, like, look, dude, you fought for so long with this other brand. Can you just trust me with this one? Like, I know what I'm doing. You just sit there and do what you do and let me do what only I can do. And I finally did that. And we're hitting these numbers and we're able to help people far more with this brand than the other brand.
Yeah.
And
It
I
seems
think
like you go ahead.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. That's just, I'm just like I'm mind blown sometimes. Like this is what I get to do.
I understand that 100%. No, I love that, man. It seems like you've streamlined things too. I know when you were doing Backbone Swag, there was a time, I think maybe in episode 100, we were talking about like you were going to do a texting chain and you had like the app going and, a lot of new technology was happening. You had a lot of different paths. It seems like, watching you from the outside, of course, that you've streamlined things a little bit where your attention is more focused and maybe you've cut back on social media a little bit. Can you speak to that? Just wondering what
Oh
happened
man.
there.
Yeah. I think social media is a way that we validate ourselves. Social media is a way that we feel like we're going to get the world to know what we want them to know. And for me personally, I've cut down on social media a whole lot because, you know, God knows our thoughts before we put them out there. And work on them with him, not with the world. And I still post on social media. I still share the lessons. I love posting on social media because I feel like it's a way that people can know and relate that they're not alone. Or that maybe, I've never been one to think you can change somebody's mind in their comment section, but you're somebody that can make your own post that can make somebody else think. And what if making them think about Jesus and God first before they like ramble on social media? That might be a good path to take. So yeah, cut down on social media, streamlined it. I've focused on what matters, my family. I've focused on time with my kids and me and my wife, I think our relationship is getting better and stronger. And you know, it comes from I think, God can't work on a hardened heart. If you go try to there's a story in the Bible about the pottery, right? Like you can make new pottery out of old pottery, but you have to break it first. And I kind of feel like my spirit and heart had to be broken, and I had to put myself back in water, right? Going to Jesus. There's the water there. Soften myself a little bit, and then just let God mold my heart. let God work on me and let God lead me so I can lead this family. So yeah, stepping away from social media was a big thing because I felt like I have no one that I need to seek approval for. I got literally no one. I don't care. Like I see everyone's posts and I see them trying to get approval for other people, and I feel sorry for them because I know what that's like. And stepping away from social media has been a big breath of fresh air. Um, yeah, just letting God lead in going where he's taken me is one of the best decisions I feel like I've ever made. And if anybody's listening, is if you're curious about how to do that, just go read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and read it with an open mind and an open heart, and know no matter what, as you turn the page, you are a sinner. You are wrecked. You are somebody who's broken. And while reading those pages may not fix you in the moment, it's gonna start to prick at your heart a little bit. All these things and the way that you talk and the way that you carry yourself, it's all like there are moments where you're gonna have to apologize for how you spoke, and it's gonna suck. There are going to be moments when how you said something hurt somebody, and you're going to have to apologize, and it's going to suck. But it's because that you read the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that you understand how much Jesus took for you, how much he endured for you, right? And if he can do what he can do, then posting on social media is it's nothing. Like it's just why stay relevant for people who are trying to stay relevant for everybody else. No, I'm good.
Right. Right. No, I love it. It's
Um,
just it was a big difference because I know you used to really do that a lot, and then I noticed for sure that you had really tapered it back, and it's good to know why.
yeah, that's why. It's like I've got, God knows everything I need to say, and whenever I feel like I need to say something to the world, I'll say it to the world, and if not, it's between me and God.
Right on. Now, Lindsay's always been your voice of reason, and I know that from even our first episode when you told the story about spending the $700 and to get shirts and you were going to do a giveaway, and she looked at you and said, "Where the heck do we have $700?"
Yeah.
So, is she still fulfilling that role, or is she more like in your? Is she the one who's going, "How is this going to work?" Still to kind of make you ground you, or is she also moved over to, "Hey, it's all going to be fine, everything's great, don't worry about it."
There's a saying that I tell my kids often, and I hope you guys who are listening, I hope you can take this and really truly understand. Like, don't take this as a highlight of what Justin said, but really take it as a piece of advice. Um, when emotions are high, intelligence is low. When intelligence is high, emotions are low. And if we act in whenever an emotional state, we act in such a way that our intellect and an ability to overcome said problem that we're emotional about is reduced. And I've had to use that saying on myself, but it's the saying that we say in our house: when emotions are high, intelligence is low. The world wants us to act on emotion. God's asking us to come to Him with those emotions and become intellectual on how to respond. All that's to say, there are many times, full transparency, that me and my wife have to remind each other when we're emotional, there's no intelligence. And so there are so many times, and I think she's the yin to my yang, she's the peak to my valley, many times where she has helped me realize don't act on that emotion right now. Shelf it. Let's figure it out together. And she's done that with me, and I've done that with her. And it's just been weird how it's kind of worked out that like it just happens at opposite times, right? Like I don't know. Whenever I need some intellectual conversation, she's there for me and vice versa because she is our CFO. She does take care of the financial. She does take care of all the marketing. Like her and I work on all that stuff. But she's the one that like clicks the buttons. She's the one that pays the bills, right? So, there are times when I'm like, God did not bring us this far to leave us here. Right. And vice versa.
Right.
Totally vice versa. We just had this instance a couple weeks ago where things have been changing on social media, and I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't understand the advertising shift that's happening, and then you have tariffs and the economy crashing or coming or the not the economy the market crashing. Like it's just the ebbs and flows of business that sometimes like you need a voice of reason here on earth to remind you to point to God. And that's what her and I are both for each other. And we've been together for since 2006. So we've been through so many peaks and valleys together. Like I wouldn't want to go through another life with anybody else. Like it's just she's just the yin to my yang. And so yeah, she's still a voice of reason.
Awesome.
She's not been replaced by um, God first, but like I go to God first, and then whenever I don't go to God first, she quickly reminds me, you better like put your thinking hat on with God and figure this one out, right? In so many words, like that's kind of the gist of it. So she's very much still a voice of reason.
Well, you definitely outkicked your coverage on that one. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I have always thought that God put Lindsay in your life to begin with from the
dude,
first
without
time
a
I met
doubt.
you. So I'm glad to hear that
She
you guys
tried.
are
She
still yin
tried
and yang.
walking out. Not no, not walking out. She tried not having anything to do with me whenever we first met, and I was pretty persistent. So
She's going to listen to this. She's going to send me a message like, Rory, why did you bring me up? Why did you bring me in this?
I'm pretty sure she's listening outside right now, saying, she's making notes. I'm going to talk to him about this
Yep,
one.
I bet she is.
Why did you tell them? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, brother. I know you got a hard stop coming up, so let me get this one in because I could sit here and just chat with you all day.
I'm
But
gonna
the
excited. This is cool.
what's coming up, man? I mean, you and Lindsay sitting there. I know you got some plans. All right,
Yeah,
you're like Mr. Creative, and you're Mr. Visionary, chief visionary of the whole deal. What's coming up for Day 41 this year that everybody should be like looking for?
we want to. I want to move to. One thing I love about people's faith is it's their own. It's their own journey, it's their own walk. I can come up with a graphic t-shirt that resonates with 5 million people and it's great, it's cool. I want to get to understanding people's journeys and how we can bring that into the brand in so many ways, right? Like I don't want this to be about the brand per se, but I want the brand to be able to be something that people can absorb and say, like, this is my brand too. Um, like day 41, like you're the number 40, if anybody's wondering to this point, the number 40 shows up in the Bible numerous times, just go read about 40. Day 41 is a representation of what it means to go through your day 40 and get to 41. It's the not giving up part, right? And I think we all in life have many times where we think we've overcome the thing that is like, we're good now. Like, we're good. I got to my 41, we're good. And then something else happens that makes you realize, all right, you're back at 40. Let's get to our 41, right? Um, and so I want our brand. I would love to do graphic t-shirts. I love the graphic t-shirt side of things. I'm wanting to move to a more simple, modern, just 41 design. I want to move. That's why we came out with our essential collection. Is I want this emblem over people's hearts to remind them this right here,
Yep.
that's your 41. Your 41's coming. Keep fighting, right? And then being just people wearing it around, I want people to just see other people wearing it and saying like you're another 41er, right? Like you're another person who's not given up. You're another person who believes in God and understands he's got you, the world doesn't. So I want to move more to like a simple modern, and then I would love like trying to find a way to be a brand next to secular brands that stand out, be the light in the darkness. I would love for our brand to make a presentation at like a major chain, Shields or Academy or something like that.
Wow.
So that means we have to do major product development and we have to we have to really get other I don't want to call them influencers, but I do want to get people who are, a person who interacts with our brand a lot, and I can't seem to get a hold of him, is Brad from Three Doors Down. He's got an
Really?
excellent story about his faith and he shares it and he interacts with our social media. He likes our posts and I can't get a hold of him, but I would love for our brand to make it on the backs of some of those people so they can share the message to influence people who are in maybe a dark spot who like maybe 2 years ago I was. Like I don't need God. I got this on my own. And all the while knowing deep down you do need God. Like you can't do this on your own. So I would love to start pairing up with some of these some of these artists or people of higher influence just so we can shed a light on what 41 means for those group of people that they're in front of. Because you want to reach lost, you don't go to the saved. You know,
Wow. Wow.
like
I mean,
you don't go to the hospital because you're all fixed up. Church is for the broken, and for us thinking that going to God only whenever it's good, that's what I want. I want to pair up with people who understand like go to God whenever it's good and go to God when it's bad. Like that's what God's there for. God is there for you in the highs and he's there for you in the lows. Just some people only talk about the highs. And I've worked on being a brand and sharing the wins and sharing the highs, but I've also been like back to old backbone swag roots of, hey, it's not always rainbows and butterflies over here. This isn't Noah's Ark where we're, like Noah's Ark had a storm. Like there had to be a massive, massive, massive flood for that story and that to even be a thing. Had to be massive devastation, but people don't think about that. Or they don't think about Noah building an ark while there's been no rain. They like what
right.
it must have been like for him to keep building through everybody's negativity. What it must have been like for them to say like, "You're absolutely crazy. Have you seen this guy? Nothing." So,
Yeah.
what's next for day 41 is I want this brand to grow at an exponential rate and I want to get in front of a lot of people to help spread the message. I want people to take ownership of their day 41 and not be ashamed of it, right? If that means if that means suicide that you failed at, right? If that means you overcame abuse or if you overcame financial hardships or if you came from, some sort of devastation in your life, whatever it may be, like that you're not like God can still utilize you to further his kingdom. And if we can take that on as a role that we want to achieve, well then we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're furthering God's kingdom. And I just don't think that that's a bad thing.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that really is. When I asked you what's next for day 41, I had no idea what answer I was going to get.
Oh, there you
So,
go. That's
so
that's the one that I'm pretty sure Lindsay's out there like, oh my gosh, what?
I know exactly.
We want to do more some more athletic type wear. I want to get into some dry fit clothing. I want to get into some custom cut and fit type stuff. I want to get into gym bags. I want to get into workwear. Like I want to get into some things that make sense for the brand and make sense for those that wear the brand and need and would like to take Jesus wherever they go and talk about him.
Nice.
Graphic t-shirts are cool, and I still love graphic t-shirts just like the next guy, but sometimes I want something a little bit more simple and piques the curiosity of people like, what's that? And then they see what that 41 is, they're like, oh, okay.
Nice. Little teaser. No, I got you.
Yeah,
That's excellent. All right. I usually end the program with this question, and I'm going to go ahead and do that here. You've given everybody so much of yourself as always. It's been a fantastic interview. Just getting to talk to you again, brother.
appreciate
The
being here,
um,
man.
the way that I end them though is is with this, and I'm going to get a good answer from you, I'm sure. And he has not been prepped for any of these questions, folks. So,
No.
be ready.
I'm curious now.
That's right. I'm building it up. The last question that I like to put out there is there anything that I didn't ask you about? Is there anything that maybe you mentioned but you want to drive home a little harder, or maybe a nugget you want to leave behind for everybody who's listening? Last couple minutes of yours, brother.
Yeah. You know, I think, the question you didn't ask me was in the moments of the change before day 41, like what was it like? Like what was it like before the change, getting the emails from all the doubt and stuff like that? Like what was that? You didn't ask me like what I felt. And I think a lot of us have those moments in life where we're on the peak of greatness, we're on the peak of what God has called us to be, and we step away from the ledge. We don't jump with God. We don't we don't fully trust him. And I think if you're listening to this, I want you to just take a moment and just close your eyes. And I know as soon as I mentioned like what was a moment that you felt like you didn't trust God and you turned away. And like if you could have that moment back, what do you think you would have done? Not that you would live, not trying to get anybody to live in regret here, but I'm trying to get people to understand when you're moving forward with God, he means forward. He doesn't mean turn away right now. He doesn't mean go back to who you were, right? Because in that moment, that night that I made the switch on the website, I remember being nervous, being scared. Like I also remember saying, like, God, I don't know what your plan is, but I'm here for it. And I think if we can take all like we're God didn't design you just for good. He designed you to be great. God didn't design like God made the perfect masterpiece with you right now. He made the perfect masterpiece. He has a perfect plan, and sometimes we like to go screw it up because we think we know best and the world convinces us that it's hard to trust somebody that we can't physically go talk to. And I'm on the other side saying like I've done it now. I've jumped. I've gone all in. I've gone all in on me. I've done that before. My track record shows it. But this is the first time I went all in on what God called. And I could tell you over the last year, it hasn't been easy. It has been worth it. And to see the growth in God in me, my family, my wife, my relationship, the relationship with my kids, the relationship with people at the warehouse, the relationship with our Day 41 community, it would not be a thing if that night I just sent everybody an email saying, "Never mind, not going to change it. We're going back. We're just going to do this because this is what I know, like, and love, and trust." So, yeah, I would say that if you're in a moment right now where you felt like you didn't trust God, just understand you're not alone, and it's okay to have that feeling, but just understand that the next time you're at that feeling, you have to go with God. Like you just like you'll never know what's on your day 41 if you keep quitting at day 40.
Boom.
There we
You never disappoint, brother.
go.
Ever. Ever.
That's
Throw
a
you
good question.
throw you something, man, and you always knock it out of the park. So it's no wonder
Really good question.
your kid's going to be an all-pro baseball player.
That's I mean that's the plan right now, right? Like
Right
until
on.
God has another one, that's what we feel like the plan is. So we're going all in.
Love it. Love it. All right, man. Listen, I'm going to let you go because I know you've got a company to run and you got things to do and the whole bit. But Justin, I cannot thank you enough for starting off this podcast the way you did by being my first guy ever to trust me and come on here, and for coming back to just update everybody and spread what the word that you're spreading, man, and all the positivity and God and everything in episode 200. Yeah, you're a gem, man. You're important in this podcast. I love you.
I love you too, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be on all these milestone podcasts and just know that, coming from somebody like me, it's just really cool to see somebody else who you've had every reason to quit to, and you just kept going. So that's something I can vibe with, and I've always told you that, and I hope that people get that from your podcast. If they don't get anything from the one that I'm on right now, is that like, hey, he's on episode 200. That this is not an easy thing to do. Like I've done it before. It is not easy.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
All right, folks, another episode of the Power Man podcast with another powerful, powerful man, Justin Wegner, coming on here talking about his company, Day 41 Apparel. Folks, go check them out. You can find them online. You can find them on social media. All of their contact info is going to be in the show notes for you to click on and go look at. Go support this man, his family, and this mission and this brand. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be even bigger next time I
Most
talk to them.
importantly, go read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's way
And
more important than
go
checking out.
read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Great advice. Folks, that's been another episode of the podcast, and appreciate you being here. You're worth it. You are worth the fight, and that's another reason to go read those passages because you have value. You just have to believe it. Until next time.